On screen, an Australian road movie starring Michael Caton and Jackie Weaver, Last Cab to Darwin.
I'm going to drive my cab until I can't drive it anymore.
British comedian Matt Lucas takes us back through his past in the ABC series Julia Zemiro's Home Delivery.
There are no ghosts in the girls' toilets.
Hello and welcome to Screen. I'm Graham Blundell.
And I'm Margaret Pomerantz. And in a moment, we'll be talking to director of Last Cab to Darwin, Jeremy Sims.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi.
Graham. Thanks for having me.
And with us again, a woman who never ceases to surprise us with the content she finds on the web, Tegan Higginbotham.
Thank you. This week I will be chatting about a stunning director who's got an amazing body of work, Michael Shanks. And I've also got something that might whet the appetite for all those Marvel fans out there who can't wait for the new Fantastic Four film.
Oh, that sounds like me, Tegan. This week sees the opening of one of the biggest film events in the country, the Sydney Film Festival. With over 250 films on offer, cinema lovers really are spoiled for choice. One of the Australian films premiering at the festival prior to its national release in August is Last Cab to Darwin. The film follows the story of Broken Hill taxi driver Rex McRae, played by Michael Caton. When Rex discovers he's terminally ill, he embarks on an epic drive to Darwin to take advantage of the new euthanasia laws. But after a road trip with the exuberant Tilly, played by Mark Cole-Smith, to reach euthanasia advocate Dr. Farmer, Jackie Weaver, Rex has already begun to realise that before he can end his life, he needs to live it.
Jeremy, it's great to have you here with us, and it's been a long journey for you, the making of this film, because it started as a stage play, which you directed some time ago.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey, not unlike the film. Reg read a little article in a newspaper about 15 years ago about a real story of a cabbie called Max Bell, and the idea of the story germinated then, and it's always been. The idea of the story for us has always been this wonderful idea that we could hang some allegories from this story and find it as a vehicle, and that's how it worked for us.
This is, you know, last train to Freo, last cab to
just
Darwin.
to confuse everyone.
This is you and your co-writer, Reg Cribb, who, I mean, there's got to be a major relationship between the two of you.
We went to drama school together. In fact, we met at the auditions for drama school in Perth for NIDA. Our first film together, the train movie, was pretty much a play on film. And we filmed it that way. And we wanted to learn how to make a film. But this one, I wanted to learn how to really tell a story cinematically. So I've kind of been putting myself through school the last 5 or 6 years of reading everything, thinking about everything, watching everything. And this one, we weren't prepared to make it until we were really, really happy with the structure of the script, with the 4 storylines, with all the characters.
How long did it take to shoot?
We shot it in 7 weeks. Oh, yeah. We travelled 3,000 kilometres with 18 vehicles and 30 people, with 18 flat tyres, you know. Like, it was an epic adventure.
I think we ought to take a look at the first clip that we have, which is Reg getting the news from the doctor.
How long?
Well, it's extremely well advanced.
3 months. At best.
There you go, then.
If we got it earlier...
If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Dad used to say that.
They had some great actors in this film, and Michael Caton, I think, is at his best here. The way he just owns the space in that scene is really quite remarkable. He's a wonderful, wonderful performer.
His level of screencraft, after 40 years of working in the industry, is better than world class. You know, if we were in France or anywhere, he'd be a national icon probably, and would be making 5 films a year.
The other one is Mark Cole-Smith, who just lights up that screen. He's extraordinary.
Mark Cole-Smith, I think this is kind of like his Brad Pitt moment for me in Thelma and Louise, when you saw them and you went, wow, that kid's a star.
He's a star.
He surprised everyone on this every day that he worked.
My name's Tilly. What's yours?
Rex.
Don't worry, Rex. I'll look after you.
The other element is that Australian mateship.
Yeah. There's a double-edged sword to Australian mateship. On one side, it's fantastic and supportive and helps men get through life. On the other side, it stops them living an honest emotional life. It's a way of protecting one another from being honest with one another.
Yeah.
And, you know, the idea of saying, Rex, you're not fucking dying, you're sitting here at the pub having a beer with your mates is not helpful to him. It's not. No. And they really just don't want their little circle spoiled by him dying. And it's a very selfish attitude. So they have a journey to go on too. And we find out in the third act that they've learned a few things as well.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in and talking
pleasure.
about this. It's a really affecting film with a lot of talent in it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Darwin? What do you think you're doing, eh? Who do you think you are? Joan of fucking Arc?
It's too bloody weird, mate. It's not natural.
Boys.
I'm dying.
Oh, Jesus, Rex, you are not fucking dying. You're sitting here having a beer with your mates.
My Uncle Jack had cancer for fucking years. We used to dance around the living room singing, cancer, cancer, la 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 la, la 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 la, ha 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 ha.
Hey.
Well, I really enjoyed this film. It's kind of like a lovely love story, really, not only between Max, the man who lives across the street on one side of the street, and Polly, who lives on the other, but it's kind of a love affair with a vanishing Australia as well, a sense of the lost communities that are going forever. I found that really very, very touching and very affecting in this film.
I was galvanised by the appearance of Mark Cole-Smith. He comes into the film and it takes off into the stratosphere just because of that performance and the way it's been written. I think there are so many levels with the film. I think that nanosecond of euthanasia being legal in the Northern Territory was sort of like an exposure for a film like this, a play like this to be written.
Yes, and I think that, oddly enough, that's the least successful part of the film, really, is the euthanasia aspect of it. The doctor is not the most convincing character. Jackie Weaver tries very hard to bring some life into a rather cardboard cutout, I think, in some respects, but it's such a small part, it doesn't matter. It's the mythic quest, it's the sense of an odyssey of a man going in search of the real Australia that's so touching and grabs you right at the heart, really, this
Yes,
film.
I must say I was very, very touched by it. I'm giving it 4 stars.
I'm giving it 4 stars too. Fresh from her starring roles in Eurovision and Rock Quiz on SBS, Julia Zemiro now pops up on the ABC for her 3rd series of Home Delivery. Julia takes celebrities down memory lane via their childhood homes and schools and gives us an insight into their personal lives. In episode 2, Britain's comedy actor, the great Matt Lucas, is driven through his childhood by Julia, revealing some fascinating facts along the way. He talks his way into his old home without the cameras.
Are you all right?
I'm fine, I got in.
Do you need help?
The house looks completely different.
And goes back to his secondary school.
One of my memories is of sitting over there and being about 13 or 14 and just getting an erection for no reason.
It's a kind of who do you think you are without the history.
I found this, I think, Julia is such a talent.
What a talent.
And she's so nice. And she's such a good driver. You know, all of those people that she ferries around are obviously really relaxed.
And she can talk while driving. She acts while driving so well.
But, you know, you get this honesty out of people. Because I thought the Matt Lucas interview was really quite revealing. And, you know, considering the extraordinary creations of his in shows like Little Britain.
Yes.
You know, he's very restrained. He's very nattily dressed, as we saw. You know, he's very honest.
He's very honest. It's interesting to know that he, you know, was a bit of a clown as a child, but he was a very sick child, like so many comics. He came from an ailing kind of background. I thought that was really fascinating. And it's an interesting twist too, I think, on the celebrity interview, which has all but disappeared from primetime television.
Yeah.
Very, very clever format, I think, and the ABC is doing this kind of format very well. It's done it with Judith Lucy and Miff Warhurst and various others as well, and it's become a pretty central part of ABC programming and a very popular one too.
Look, I would give this 4 stars. I think it's absolutely charming.
Well, you know I hate to agree with you, Margaret, but I'm
You
giving
know.
it 4 stars as well. I think this is a terrific show.
My first bit of online content this week is the work of New Zealand-born, Melbourne-based director and special effects maestro Michael Shanks, or as his YouTube followers might know him, Tim Fed. Now, having emerged from a background in visual effects, Michael has gone on to create this really versatile, great body of work. For example, you have Michael's quick turnaround comedy pieces that are usually focused on topical events like the Sochi Olympics. There was also one about the Australian Open.
And welcome back. Djokovic readying the serve against his toughest opponent to date, a World War II M1 Abrams tank.
It's set to be a thrilling match.
Shh. Advantage Djokovic.
Caterpillar treads. Great off-road. Not so much on the clay court.
No, of course, tank's not traditionally designed to play tennis. Abrams serve. And wow, what a turnout.
Great attendance.
Some said inviting a sentient tank to play tennis would ruin the sport.
I agree with them.
Me too. Oh, and look at that, just terrible sportsmanship.
That's just not cricket.
No, it's tennis.
Then you also have Michael's professional portfolio of work, such as his film clip for Guy Pearce's new song, Storm. And his collaborations with Australian production company Late Night Films have won him several awards, including Best International Short Film at the Californian Short Film Festival for Time Trap, which was written and directed by Michael.
It's fascinating how many great international film directors have actually emerged from this kind of background, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure the details, but I have a feeling that Michael is being poached at the moment. I don't reckon he's going to be in the country for very long.
What have you got for us later in the program?
I've got some really good stuff for Marvel fans out there, actually. Very good, but somewhat cheesy stuff.
Oh, I look forward to that. Yeah. I'm a Marvel fan. And also, after the break, we have a Western with Michael Fassbender as an aloof but charismatic gunslinger. Well, our next guest builds his show, The News You Need, a few days after you need it. It's a weekly satirical take on the news from the safety of the studio. And joining us from that very studio very soon will be Charlie Pickering, host of the ABC's The Weekly.
Satirical news shows are institutions in the United States. Think the Daily Show with Jon Stewart and Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. But in Australia, there's only been Sean McAuliffe's Mad as Hell and The Roast, and of course, Graham Kennedy's Coast to Coast news show. The Weekly takes on major issues in Australian life.
Today, tonight. How good was the crash zoom on the pork? Oh, taste the fear.
And working with Charlie are Tom Gleeson and Kitty Flanagan. Oh, hello, Charlie. Thanks for joining us on screen.
Yeah, it's great
It's fantastic to see you. Now,
it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Charlie, I caught up with the show recently where you interviewed Nick Davies, and I thought the blend was working really, really well. You're starting to look really comfortable in the role now.
Oh, aren't you lovely for saying it? Just hang on, we're recording, guys. Sorry.
Please go away.
Sorry.
The magic of live television.
Do you want to keep going? Or
I said you're looking very good. You're very relaxed in that little encounter. It showed what a great improviser you really are.
Oh, poor Alicia is just... Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have said something. But yeah. Wait, sorry to interrupt because you were paying me a wonderful compliment. We really should get back to that.
I think we should. And you're looking extremely comfortable now.
I'm starting to get comfortable. It's one of those things with any new idea or new show, it takes a while to really get a feel for it and feel like you're in control of it. But you know, the episode the other week, interviewing Nick Davies, who's just such a fascinating guy, the journalist that brought down News of the World, and he was cracking interview talent. I felt like I didn't really have to do much at all.
What I was interested in, and what are the challenges for you? You know, like litigation, offensiveness, ABC bias accusations, those sort of challenges.
Well, that sounds like you're reading just one review of the show. It's very hard, and I think what a lot of people wouldn't get about the challenge of doing comedy on the ABC is satisfying editorial policy, not being politically biased, and then adding on to one of the challenges we have in Australia compared to, you know, shows that do similar things in the States is you can't just say, well, I've got the First Amendment right to free speech and I can say whatever I want. If you have that attitude for too long, you'll lose your house pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you do have to put a lot of calculation and thought into everything that you say. But having done 5 years of live TV 5 nights a week, I guess I've built up that muscle of knowing when I'm about to say something that I could get sued for and just backing away gently.
How involved are you in choosing the topics that you're going to approach?
Oh, 100%. One of the joys of doing this show is the level of control that I have over it. But I'm one of the executive producers of the show, and so I make the key editorial decisions with my series producer, Chris Walker, who I've worked with before at the project. But we've all got a very strong attitude that the writers' room, our researchers, we've got a number of journalists on the team that do news research so that everything we say actually factually checks out. But everyone is welcome to suggest something and everyone is welcome to push forward stories for the show, and then we have to make decisions about what are either the funniest bits or the most important things to cover this week.
Well, I'm a real fan of Tom's, but I've got to tell you, I love Kitty Flanagan. I think that was a real coup getting her for the show.
Brilliant.
Being old used to be fun. You could use words like cockamamie and codswallop. You could say racist stuff and no one cared. You could blow off at the dinner table and blame the dog.
I feel very lucky to have Kitty and to have Tom on the show as well. It's funny, Kitty and I have been friends for years. When I first moved to London to work the stand-up circuit over there, I didn't do enough planning before I got there, and I landed in London with nowhere to stay and no idea where anything was. And Kitty, who was dominating the stand-up circuit over there for years, she put me up, she bought me a map, she got me an Oyster card for the tube, and she taught me where the train stop was. She told me who to call to get gigs. So we've been friends ever since, and loved working with her on the project. And a similar thing with Tom, we're very, very good friends and have been for years.
There's been a lot of talk about the interviewing style being too aggressive, but you know what I think? Lee Sales, soft! Emma Alberici, soft! Charlie, well, I mean, your interviews are good, don't get me wrong. If you're into that kind of thing, I think you do a good job.
Our families have been on holiday together, so that shows that we've got
That's
a high
a little bit
tolerance
too
for each other.
close, Charlie. But it's a great team. You're really lucky to have, you know, all that talent around you. And it's working. And it's really where the ABC should be as well, you know, tackling news satirically.
So, Charlie,
if you can get away with it.
I really do hope that everyone at the ABC is listening to you say that, Mark, because I know that your opinion carries weight around here.
Don't do that to me.
Charlie, thanks very much for joining us here at Screen, taking time out of your busy studio to join us in our, busy studio too.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. A real treat. Thank you.
Our next film is a Western with a whole lot of shootouts, filmed, strangely enough, in New Zealand. In SLO West, Jay, played by Cody Smith-McPhee, sets out for the Wild West to find the woman he loves. After finding himself at the mercy of corrupt officers and mercenaries, he's rescued by gunslinging traveller Silas Michael Fassbender.
Sir, I'm Jay Cavendish, son of Lady Cavendish.
We're all sons of bitch.
Keep heading west solo. You'll be dead by dawn.
The two are followed by a band of bounty hunters led by Payne, Ben Mendelsohn, who are seeking the same woman as Jay, but for very different reasons.
Well, this is slow, all right, this film.
Oh.
It's no grand Western epic, but I did like the kind of Baptist hymn book simplicity of it. The linear storytelling I quite enjoyed.
Oh, I thought it was a sort of like a dream-like mythology of the Old West. And you know, with all the violence, the deaths, the anarchy, and that, you know, is reflected in that final scene in the film. But it's not told on any real level. There's a surreal level to it.
There's an absurdist level, I think, that's quite interesting. It sort of segues off into tales of the Old West and of gunslinging histories and biographies, and all of that's quite interesting. But the central story gets a bit lost here and there.
I love the strangeness of it.
I like that too, but the plot points missed me. I wasn't sure why Joe was actually there, what had happened back in the old country. I wasn't sure why guns were stolen at one point, a very central plot point.
Yeah.
Things confused me, and I didn't want to be confused.
No, you take away your guns in the Old West and you're a little bit vulnerable, are you not?
Well, you are, but how the guns got taken and why did Payne take the guns if it was Payne? And why were the guys following so close? There are a lot of things that worry me about the storytelling.
The thing that, you see, I think Ben Mendelsohn's really good in this. You don't actually see enough of him.
But he's becoming like a kind of Chips Rafferty figure. He's over the top too often now.
I don't think he's over the top in this.
I think he's over the top. He wears that great furry coat and has too much delight wearing it.
That's the costume designer, and I think that's the pitch of the film. Everything is slightly over. It's not told on any... But it's not meant to be told on a real level.
In a way. The guy, John McClane, comes from a music clip background, and it's just like a sort of, Western music clip. It just goes on and will always... It is.
No, it's his first feature. I think it's really, really impressive. He'd made a short film with Fassbender before, so
Fassbender is no Clint Eastwood, let me tell you.
Oh, he's absolutely miles ahead of Clint Eastwood.
He is not even
Clint
close,
Eastwood's
even
in his 80s.
touching distance of Clint Eastwood. Not even a real actor compared to Clint Eastwood.
Fassbender, I've got to stop saying Fassbender. I think he's a magnificent actor.
Very, very disappointed in this film. There are aspects I liked. I quite liked the violent shootouts. And what the point of them all in the end was, I don't know.
I like strangeness in films, and there was a level of strangeness in this that really gratified me, and I'm giving it 4 stars.
I'm giving it 2 stars, Margaret. Now, when the Queen came to town, it's definitely one for those who love a nostalgic look at Australia in the 1950s. This film, coming to Foxtel's bio, tracks the newly crowned Queen Elizabeth through her 1954 tour of Fiji, New Zealand and mostly Australia, using previously unseen footage. Director Maurice Murphy uses a variety of storytelling techniques, including interviews with those who had seen the Queen in Australia, intercut with archival footage of her visit. Actor Lorraine Bailey tells today's young children in a fairy tale of the importance of the young Queen's visit.
And who was that Queen?
Queen Elizabeth I.
No.
Queen Elizabeth II.
And Bert Newton narrates as Australia celebrates this momentous occasion.
Australia and New Zealand had a show to put on. The streets were decorated with banners and bunting, archways and boomerangs, flowers and fireworks.
Australians, Bert tells us, hung around the Queen like curious kangaroos and cockatoos.
I think that's a little bit cruel. What I thought was interesting about this is that it is just an amalgamation of archival footage and interviews with all these oldies who went to see the Queen when they were 5 and 6 and 11. And there's no attempt to, look back at that time of the 1950s, beginning of 1954, and now, and I'm a Republican, and while I can get all gooey-eyed about, the Queen, and she has been a magnificent woman, there was no attempt to sort of link it to the modern day, which would have been, I would have thought, appropriate now.
No, it's a piece of nostalgia, really, kind of masquerading as a piece of cultural commentary.
Yeah.
That,
and it's almost like there's too much material. Please, guys, cut it down. We go to just about every country town that she visited.
Yes, but I love the sequence at the MCG because I thought I recognised myself.
Oh, stop
I was there. No, I was there. I was one of the boys standing under the maypole for the maypole dance. We rehearsed for ages at where was I at then? Keon Park State School up in Reservoir in Melbourne, and we rehearsed, and there were all the banners and streamers. I was one of those little kids dancing around doing the rabbit hops and the kangaroo moments, and well, that was a bit gay, wasn't it?
Yes. I wasn't going to say anything, you know. Look, I think that there was a lost opportunity with this. I think it's too long as it is, and if you're going to have that length, you should have made more of it. I could only give this 2 stars.
I'm only giving it 2 stars as well.
No, you're not. You're giving it 3. You told me you were giving it 3.
I'm giving it 2 stars because I've gone off it listening to you.
When most people think about the Fantastic Four, they most likely think about the big budget film series, of which we'll be getting the 3rd instalment starring Kate Mara and Jamie Bell in August. But there was actually another Fantastic Four film made, a low-budget, unreleased version that's online in full, and it is one of the best, worst films I have ever seen. The film company Constantine Films made this in order to retain the rights for the Fantastic Four, which were just about to expire. But boy, oh boy, did they cut some serious corners. That said, this really kicked off the career for the director Ole Sassone, who afterwards went on to make Blood Fist 3 and a film about Playboy bunnies called Playback. This is one of those films that you watch on a very rainy Friday night with close friends and a bottle of wine.
Doom, it's clobbering time.
I'd say quite a few bottles of wine, Tegan.
Yes, I think so.
You do find the most fascinating stuff.
The funny thing is, it's actually really enjoyable to watch because it is just so bad.
It reminded me of some of the films that I was in the early 70s.
There are scenes in there that you just sit there going, why have you done this? Why is this? It's really entertaining.
All right, I'll head towards it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us.
And you can stay in touch with Screen and catch more of our interviews on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube.